Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Wednesday. We are today sponsored by our friends at Match Bingo. Sign up to an account right now. You've got to be over the age of 18, but it's an amazing game to play whilst watching football. I love it to bits. And some of our viewers have actually won some big money on it. So get it downloaded now. Scan that QR code below me right there, or click on the link in the description. We've got an amazing panel for you today. Back every Wednesday. Sav is here. Mo Gender is here. How are you, gentlemen?
Good, my end. Really good, my end. How are you?
I'm all right, bro. We're good. I'm good. Enjoyed the football this weekend. Fantastic games.
A weekend.
Absolutely fantastic. Can't wait for this weekend as well. It's all right.
Yeah, it was an amazing. I thought the whole weekend was great. It was the only part I thought was crap. It all crammed to the Sunday. It would have been nice if the Man United or Chelsea game had been on the Saturday.
Yeah.
I think, but yeah, overall,
it's a record. It's a record. New record for the Premier League ever.
Most
goals? Yes.
Wow.
This was the best weekend of football you have ever watched in the Premier League in terms of goals. The amount of goals scored.
Or worst defending ever. I'm gonna be
for Spurs and Liverpool, yes. Not for the rest of them. Not for for Spurs.
No, I hear you.
Yes,
I hear you, my G. Lots to talk about today. Lots to go through. Talking Chelsea, talking Arsenal. We're going to be looking a little bit at Liverpool as well. And Xabi Alonso has been targeted and spoken to ahead of potentially coming in as the manager. I wanted to start off, though. I was asked the panel for what they want to speak about. And Mo, you threw an interesting one in today. And it was, does Erik ten Hag deserve another season at Man United? So I'm going to ask that question to the audience, but throw it back to you and say, do you think he deserves another season at Man United?
No, he doesn't. He should get sacked. Unless he makes third, which is not going to happen, right? The reason why I'm saying that, it's very obvious. I hold the same energy for my club, for every big club. If you call yourself a big club and you regress, you should sack your manager and move on from them if they are given enough opportunities. People were talking about last game about Man United. Yes, it was sensational football. Last two games with Lisandro Martinez back. Does that mean this manager can only play good football when Lisandro's there? I said, yesterday I had a discussion on my channel about this, and I said, it's as simple as that. Erik ten Hag had about 7 or 8 of his starters, bar Casemiro, Lisandro Martinez, and Luke Shaw. Everybody else, the majority of them were fit. And we didn't see the style of play. We didn't see what the aim of the football they were playing, right? That means you only can play football with some of the players he has. With Lisandro's there, and you regress from last year, Erik ten Hag. Listen, people, it's a simple. Last season, you were the second best team at home. You beat the majority of the big teams at home. Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool. You regressed, right? Can he turn it around? I don't read the future. Are there signs of him turning it around? I think there are less signs than the signs that he's going to fail. He failed with players. I think the way he deals with the players is wrong. The way he benched Varane because of something happened while Varane was fit is wrong. The way he talks about players is wrong. He's not trained to be in the media. I believe with a new ownership, you need new direction. You need a new coach. And I believe there are better coaches out there that will get you a better better outcome from these players. I believe no matter what he does, he already failed for me unless you become third, which is we know it's not going to happen.
Well, what do you think, Sav? Is there any way, in your opinion, Ten Hag can turn this round in your view? Like, what would he have to do for you, just as an individual, to say, I think maybe he should be given one more year?
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I do agree with a lot of what Mo said. It's tough, isn't it? He finished, what did he finish last year? Was it third, fourth in the league?
Third, and they were second in the best, and they beat all the big teams at home, and they were the second best team, tight defense.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you finish third, and then the season after you don't finish anywhere near that, then questions do have to be asked. I think the difficulty for me is Man U are at the moment, I think they've only lost one of their last 5 Premier League games, which seems like they're steadying somewhat. Is it where the Man United fans want it to be? Probably not yet. But I guess the answer to the question is more in what happens in this last, what have you got, 15 games of the season. For example, you guys are, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. You're playing Aston Villa away at the weekend, right? If Aston Villa beat Man United, then the gap between top 4 and Man United is 11 points. And I think that's just too big a gap. And you're not turning that around with the rest of the season. So for me, then I think he does have to go. However, win that game, win 11 of your last 15 games, you set yourself up for a lovely finish and momentum's with him. But so far, the problem he's had is he hasn't been able to find that momentum all season. Players are coming back fit. Yep, you're going to do better when you've got your better players on the pitch. That's obvious. But I do think Mo's right. It can't just be this drastic fall off when a centre-half doesn't play or whatever. For me, it's too erratic at Man United. It's too erratic. So I think he needs to have a really, really big finish to the season, grab the cup, grab an FA Cup, get 5th, 6th, you know, and have a really strong finish. But unless you win this weekend, I can't see how he gets Champions League football.
Can we say something? Kobe Mino literally is the one who made us here think that he deserves that second chance. He played a good half against Wolves, and he effed up. He effed up the second half, Terry. He made all the wrong substitutions.
Okay. But I'll defend him and say, well, he's the guy that's promoted Kobe. He's the guy that's nurtured him. He's the guy that's put him into the team. So he deserves credit for that side of things, Ten Hag. I agree with what you said there, Sav. It's how he ends the season. And I think some of that starts this weekend. Up until recently, we've had a very good record away at Aston Villa. Go there to a team that's our record against teams when the match day starts in the top 9 away from home is horrendous since Ten Hag's been here. What a way to cement the last 2 games by going away, putting in a good performance and beating a team currently in the top 4, currently like only a handful of points away from the Man Cities of this world, and making a statement. And then from there, improving right until the end of the season and winning a trophy. Then you could look at it and say, do you know what? He really has turned a corner from what was an abysmal start to the season. He's turned a corner from the players' problems that he had with individual players. You can't play that consistently if the dressing room isn't with you. And I think it's a sign that they are. And then I think it's worth assessing. So I think there's a way that he stays, but we have got to become so much better and so much more consistent between now and when the final ball this season is kicked. If we are a win here, loss, win, loss, win, draw. If it's up and down, out the FA Cup, then I think the best thing still to do at the end of the season is to go, thank you so much, shake his hand. The new world is now here, and we're going to move on to another individual. So I'll keep the same energy I always have. There's always a way it turns round. I've loved the last 2 games for different reasons. I've enjoyed them both. They've been exciting. We've won the match. Do I have faith this is going to continue? No, I don't right now. And I don't want to get overly excited either. I mean, we nearly threw it away against Wolves. We let West Ham have far too many opportunities in the game. I've enjoyed winning, but I can also see the problems in the team still. But if we go on to another level from here and that becomes consistent, that's a big if, then my mind could certainly change about Ten Hag. But as it stands right now, I don't think we're going to become that consistent team. Therefore, I think Sir Jim, Omar, and everybody else running the club has got to look beyond this manager. But I think it's important to not bring it up now. I think it's from a club. I think the clubs shouldn't bring it up now. I think the clubs should just leave it, say this is our manager, play it down, keep it quiet, work in silence and move from there. But look, the wins were good. And, you know, playing Villa this weekend is a big, tough game, especially with the way they absolutely annihilated us there last season. They annihilated us at their ground. And, you know, a couple of years, the year before that, we were 2-0 up. And I want to say we went on to draw 2-2. We may have even lost 3-2, but we definitely were 2-0 up, a brace from Bruno, and we ended up not winning. So we've got the last couple of years, our record there has been absolutely shocking. So yeah, now I need to look at that. Need to look at the players first, not the manager. No, we don't, Rob. We need to look at who runs a club in the stadium first. That's first. Then it's manager, then it's players. That's the order you've got to go in. Fix the board and decision makers. Start fixing the culture and the infrastructure. Get that plan in action. Then you decide on the style of football and you implement a coach to coach that. Then you start working on the players. Obviously, while you're doing all of that, you can start your scouting and looking at new players, but it has to work in that motion. It has to. You simply
People are so triggered, bro. Like it's unbelievable. And if you ask these guys, do you see the signs of him turning around? They'll tell you no. Like everyone will tell you no. But because he won 2 games, Man United fans think, yeah, we're back. And I've seen it everywhere. And you know what I'm talking about. And if you ask them, are you favorites to win against Villa? They tell you no. Do you think you're going to get a result against Man City? They tell you no. Do you think you're going to beat Luton away? They say maybe. And then they tell me, so why are you slagging the manager? Why do you want the manager to be gone? I'm like, I don't support your club. And I see no signs of him turning around. And now Lisandro Martinez is injured for 2 months. And you said, wait until his squad is back. Now Lisandro Martinez is out. Unfortunately. Sorry for you, Man United fans. He's out. What do you think is going to happen? No, I think we might lose more games than one of the games we win. So why do you want the manager in then? Because he played 2 good games. Okay, what is the logic in this? People just don't make sense, bro. Literally, nobody makes sense nowadays. Oh my God.
Jimmy, thank you very much for signing up as a legend and super fan of the channel. It means a great deal to me, bro. Thank you very much indeed. Hey, look, I look at it. Look, some people back Ten Hag and they think that he's going to turn it round. So I understand if you've always had that train of thought, you're going to see this as the beginning potentially of the resurgence. I understand that. And look, I don't think sacking Ten Hag fixes Man United, but I just think and I believe that moving forward, we're going to start with a brand new board, brand new decision makers, brand new recruitment team. The possibilities of a brand new or rejuvenated stadium the beginning of that. And part of me just thinks, I think we might need to remove the manager and the coaching team as well to give it this fresh start that's needed. But if between now and the end of the season, we become a formidable team, I'm just throwing this out there as a hypothetical, then my mind could change. But if we end the season, how we started the season with it being up and down and problems, etc., then you've got to look beyond him for me. But that's just my view on that. It's
a big weekend, Terry. It's a big weekend for Man United because, look, you're playing Villa and Spurs are playing at home to Brighton. If Villa and Spurs win, it just leaves Man United so far off. The gap between 5th and 6th, then, I believe, is something like 10 points. 44, 47. 9. So, I mean, it would be 9 points. I think if you get to a stage where you're 9 points behind and you can't get top 4 mathematically with 15, well, sorry, not mathematically, but you know what I mean? Like you're then saying that whatever Spurs and Villa do, you've got to do 3 wins or 4 wins better between now and the end of the season. I do think then they've got to have a look at the end of the season and go, does Ten Hag, all right, he didn't finish 3rd, but he didn't even get us. We weren't even 4th. We weren't even close to Champions League football.
And I think, and I know that there are a lot of people that don't like the top 4 / Champions League qualification trophy. Yeah, but I do, and I don't think it's a trophy. But the example is this: deep down at the top of the leagues, maybe it isn't hurting as much. But with how good Liverpool have been this year, how much more gutting is it for Liverpool that they didn't get a Champions League spot last year? Because in Klopp's last season, with how they've been playing for the majority of this campaign, they could win the Champions League this year. They've been that good. And they've won it before. They have that know-how. So if we qualify for the Champions League, it's something to have an element of excitement about, because you never know how good you're going to be the following year. And winning the league is always harder, in my opinion, than winning the Champions League. Sometimes you can get a relatively easy group. You might get a little bit of luck in the ties. And then it's 2 legs, but it's one-off games. It isn't about being consistent for 38 matches. It isn't as difficult as that. So you always want to be in it. So I think that looking at the manager that was in it last year and then has failed to get into it the following year, I think it's a reasonable reason to sack somebody, because one, you haven't won the Champions League the year you were in it. But your performance as manager has also led to us. You're guaranteed that we haven't won it next year because you haven't qualified us for it. So that has to be looked at. However, it is a big weekend. Win this weekend, and suddenly the minimum we're going to be behind a sort of Champions League position is then suddenly 5 points, which suddenly you suddenly look at it and that isn't so bad. Suddenly you think, okay, well, if you can continue some of this form, you then play Luton, tough game away, but should win. Who knows where, Spurs and Villa, they might drop. Then you've got to play them Man City, which is a hard game. But it isn't like we haven't gone away to the Etihad before and got results. Suddenly, if that momentum builds, you could end the season well and get a little bit of respect back, get a bit of dignity back. And you look at the manager in a different way, because then you can argue, and this is me playing devil's advocate, well, he was almost gone. and then look how he turned it around. Look how they ended the season. Maybe then you look at it and say, well, he's got the dressing room on board. The new owners like him. Let's not make any more changes. But I think he has to turn it around in a dramatic way and end the season fantastically for it to be a consideration for me.
But I don't think it's going to happen, though. It's just
no.
Out there, right?
Yeah, well,
I would be very surprised if it happens, right?
Me too. But I'm putting out, because what you're going to be, if you say no, I don't think you should. People are then going to throw at you the hypotheticals. What if this happens? So we're just having that hypothetical conversation before the question. Like, there is a way he saves himself. This year says these people that still back Ten Hag are Ten Hag fans and are attached to a paid employee. Hello, Lee. It's club before employees always. I understand you, and there are some that, I am attached. I don't agree with the notion you shouldn't be attached to a degree to paid employees, because to the day that I die, I will hold a deep love and respect for Sir Matt Busby. I'll hold a deep love and respect for Sir Bobby Charlton, for David Beckham, for Paul Scholes, for Sir Alex Ferguson, and they were paid employees. So, of course, there is a connection there and a deep love for individuals. So I think it's a nonsense to state that you shouldn't have a connection to a paid employee, because that's ridiculously wrong. However, there are some people that are just desperate to be right about Ten Hag, and they're not looking at the situation objectively. It's all emotion. So I agree with that element of what you say. But yes, you should be attached to certain club employees. What you shouldn't be attached to, though, is when a legend of your club becomes too old, or even a quality player now, if there's a better one available in the transfer market, yes, then you should replace him for the betterment of your football club. But the idea that you shouldn't have any emotional feeling towards anyone that's ever been paid away by your football club is a proper strange way to look at the world. It's a proper strange way to look at the world. And I don't think any football fan actually agrees with that in reality. Viewers, do us a big favor and hit the like button. Please make sure you're subscribing as well. Boys, Chelsea. That song, actually, I hate that song. It's just the same words. I don't get. I mean, I went to Stamford Bridge like 5 years running. I was very lucky in the ballot to go to Stamford Bridge 5 years running to watch United. I remember sitting there going, "Is that all they sing?" It's not all they sing, but it's just all I remember.
It feels like it.
Poch is under tremendous pressure. He's come out in a press conference. Have you guys seen what he said?
He literally said, "This is the level we are."
But he said this is the level we're at. He also said, well, Liverpool didn't get criticised for losing to Arsenal. Why do we get criticised when we lose? Paraphrasing slightly, this man is absolutely delusional. Fans everywhere now are calling for his head. They're talking about bring Jose Mourinho back in to bring the standards back. I'm right across the board here. How much longer is Poch going to last? Or do you agree with the Hussams of this world that sacking Poch is going to change nothing, therefore it shouldn't be a consideration at this point?
He should be sacked today. Again, big club sitting at 11 after 23 games of the Premier League. There's no context. Leave it out. You should be sacked, no matter what the circumstances, no matter who's fit, who's not fit. If you have 15 players injured, you should be sacked if you're sitting 23. Also, lately, he abandoned the style of play. In the beginning of the season, Chelsea looked all right. You look like they're going in the right direction in terms of like on the pitch, right? Not off the pitch, on the pitch. He abandoned that. In the statistics and looking at them, they abandoned this completely. I think he's someone who's drowning or just trying to hold to any straw or something. I think this guy should be sacked today. And if you get any manager, they will do better. A new manager, Baus, will do them better than 11th. And I said that he should wait until the cup final. Maybe that's the day. Even if he wins it, he should get sacked. If he wins the cup final, he should get sacked. In my opinion, he's speaking out of his ass at the current moment. I think he lost it. Even though you had a style of play, you just stopped. And I'm sorry. If anyone is thinking that nothing is going to change, listen, I don't rate this squad as much. I don't rate this Chelsea players. Majority of them are overrated. The majority of them are overrated, but they aren't 11th. Wolves aren't better than them. West Ham shouldn't be higher than them. I believe they should be higher at least than this, but he should be sacked. And anybody that is back in Pochettino now is just banter and trolling. It's just banter and trolling. There is no other way around it. And Mourinho is past it, bro. Forget Mourinho.
I mean, bringing Mourinho back is we'll get on to
It's gonna be a joke, bro. Bring Mourinho for the jokes, though. I would love that. I'd love Mourinho against Klopp and Pep again for the jokes, though.
Sav, I mean, I understand when people say there are problems that are much deeper at the club than Poch. 110% there are. But listening to him talk today, this is a man that you obviously know well as a manager at your club. Does he sound like he's turning it round when it comes to the fact that he seems absolutely oblivious, almost to a point where he sounds conceited in his own errors, his own failings? The fact they're 11th in the Premier League, where the target this year by his board was top 4. He seems oblivious to this. And like he said, well, why are you criticizing us for losing? All teams lose. That is, for me, delusion.
Yeah, look, I think I'm somebody that said all season, look, you know, I never thought they were going to be top 4 like most people. I thought that they needed time. I'm an advocate of giving managers time. But it's just every time you think you see a couple of green shoots for Chelsea with some results, they then just go on this run of not winning for 2 or 3 games and looking really poor. And it looks like they don't know what they're doing all over again. Then they win a couple and he needs time. Look, Listen, I agree with both now. I've tried to, not because he managed Spurs, because I was an advocate of him leaving Spurs. I've tried to give the benefit of the doubt as, look, the guy needs time, and you know this wasn't all his doing, and it's not all his squad, and Chelsea's a mess. I do think that something needs to give. However, I also do agree with what Hassam said. I still don't think, I'm not sacked, so 2 separate boxes here. Yes, sack Poch. Sack Poch all you want. Cool. I've said this all along. Sack him. I still think Chelsea are an utter shambles and a mess, whoever you bring in, because I don't think they've put the squad together well. I think there's some, unlike Mo, I do think there's some very good players at Chelsea. I do. I think there's some very, very good footballers at Chelsea, but I don't think they've put the dynamics of it together. I thought they've overloaded in some positions, underloaded in other positions. They've got rid of all their experience. You look through that squad, other than Thiago Silva now, who shouldn't be playing week in, week out at that age. That should be a guy who's playing every now and then. There's no experience. So for me, sack him, sure. Bring in a new manager. As I've said all season, do it. It doesn't bother me as a football fan. I still think that the next manager coming in is walking into an absolute shit show, if we're brutally honest. And that's my only thing that I've said about this all season, Terry, is sure, if you sack Poch, you bring in a new manager. New manager walks into an absolute shit show, doesn't sort it out in the next 17, 18 games to the level Chelsea want. You know what's happening in 17, 18 games, Terry? We're sitting here talking about that manager getting sacked as well. So a bit like Man U, where we've talked about Man U before, and we're like, is it Ten Hag? Is it the players? Is it the structure? Mm-hmm. I think all of it at Chelsea, I think just getting rid of one component at the moment doesn't fix anything for me. I think you might get a new manager that comes in as a bit of a bounce for 3 or 4 games. But I still think when that settles down and the new manager hype goes, I think you then back to a position of the club's a mess. So do I know the answer? No. Does Poch deserve to stay? Not on his performances. But is that alone going to solve the issue? No. I think there's many, many buckets that need to stop leaking, and he's just one of them.
I understand that. And I think that there's multiple problems here that needs to be addressed. But when you look at Poch, he's so often hailed as a top manager. Agreed. But upon closer inspection, his track record doesn't live up to the hype that surrounds him. Agreed. He has this big reputation, but he lacks a substantial history of molding together winning teams. And whilst he's achieved sort of moderate success with certain clubs, his overall pedigree in sort of developing a championship caliber team is so questionable. And right now, when I watch this Chelsea team play, they started off okay, but there are times where it looks dated. There's times where he looks out of touch. And where I do think other managers coming in could do a better job is you don't play Levi Colwell at left back consistently. You get an established 8 or 9 players that play week in, week out. especially when you don't have 2 games a week because you've got no European football. You create that chemistry and that relationship. Even with Cole Palmer, and as good as he has been, 1 minute he's in the 10 and he's on the false 9 position, then he's on the right. He's been excellent. But I do believe a lot of his brilliance has been because he's still in the Man City mindset and he has that confidence within him. Another year of being managed this way, and he is going to regress. So I look at the inconsistencies from him. That could be addressed straight away by a new manager. Now, that doesn't then mean that they don't need to add more experienced players into the squad. They absolutely need to do that. As an example, they need to get rid of this weird under 23s notion, buying purely potential. It's never been done before. Buying this amount of players in one go. I remember me and Lee Gunner having many arguments about this, saying you can't basically build a new squad in a year. That's been proven to be impossible. By the way, if you'd have bought more experienced players, they would have cost you more money than a lot of these others, so you wouldn't have been able to buy as many. But they've got that wrong, and they need to address that as well to help the new manager that is coming in. So I look at this thing and I think it shouldn't be a polarized conversation. It can't be just sack Poch. It can't be just make changes behind the scenes. I think it has to be both. I've never believed in Poch as a top manager. I've always had a big question mark over him. Having watched him at PSG, struggle to get the likes of Neymar, Mbappe, and Messi to really look good, struggling with the egos there, struggling with the pressure. Having watched him get Spurs to a certain level, and yes, there was that summer where he didn't get investment, but got him to a certain level, but never over the line. Yeah. And watching what he's done at Chelsea, for me, he's a good coach. He could coach teams in the Premier League, but he is not the manager for the elite level clubs with the big money and with the big pressure, with the media looking at him. For me, there's enough evidence now to look at Poch and say he is not the guy. He's a bit of a media darling. The British press absolutely love him, but he is simply not good enough, in my opinion. So even when they fix everything behind the scenes, if they were to do that, I still think he's got to go, in my personal opinion. But the saddest bit for Chelsea fans right now, I don't think you will. And they play tonight. Mo, how do you see them getting on tonight against Aston Villa away from home in the FA Cup?
They lose for sure. There's no question about it. I actually believe Aston Villa are going to batter them. I think the squad is overrated. They have good players, but at what level? I think this squad, if you give it to Pep, he might challenge for top 4, but he might not make it. I believe some of these players are so overrated. It's unbelievable.
Who's overrated?
I believe Levi Colwill is overrated. I believe Levi Colwill. I believe Raheem Sterling is overrated. I think Malo Gusto is a good player, but he's overrated. I believe Enzo Caicedo are overrated.
Enzo Caicedo.
What do you mean overrated? Let me explain what I mean by overrated.
Let me just ask a question. So £250 million invested into those two.
Yeah,
what is it about them that's overrated in your
opinion?
So
people think that Caicedo is going to be Rodri and Enzo. Someone said he's going to be Pirlo or Modric. And I'm looking at them. And I think actually Enzo is so overrated. It's unbelievable. Like, he is a good player. People just don't understand. Sometimes you say overrated. Like Raheem Sterling is a good player, but he's the most overrated player in English football history ever. Like the way that Pep used him, this guy used to be compared to top wingers, to like Mohamed Salah and David Beckham and Ryan Giggs. People used to put him in these conversations because of Pep Guardiola. I believe he's so overrated. It's unbelievable. He's a good player. He's a 6 or a 7 out of 10 player. I believe Enzo Fernandez has the qualities, but he doesn't have the qualities of like the Bellinghams. I believe that there are a lot of more players that are better than him in the league. And I don't think he's that top of a player. I think they got scammed from 6 months at Benfica and a World Cup. They got scammed, bro. Seriously, Chelsea fans don't want to see it. Yes, he's good on the ball, moving the ball around and stuff like that. He's the same level as Zubamendi at Real Sociedad. People told me that Enzo Fernandez is one of the best midfielders in the league. Bro is so overrated when you watch him. The guy has 0 defensive attributes. He wants to play in a midfield in the Premier League and who has 0 defensive attributes. Paqueta is 5 times the player Enzo Fernandez is in both aspects of the game. It is unbelievable. Caicedo, though, in hindsight, and I'm going to say that because people are going to say, Mo, you said if Liverpool signed Caicedo, they're going to win the league. Number 1, Liverpool have a system and have a better coach, right? Number 2, he was playing under De Zerbi, who was making Pascal Gross, and we spoke about this, and Billy Gilmore look very good. So he might have made Caicedo look absolutely fantastic, right? Caicedo looked more better than McAllister in sometimes last year. And look at how the difference between both. Look, if you were asking anybody now, would you take McAllister or Caicedo? It's no brainer. They would tell you, I'll take McAllister. In my opinion, Chelsea are overrating their players. Their players are good. They're good, talented youngsters that you can get something out of them. But a lot of people told us, no, these players are ready now to win now. They told us are ready now. The money they spent, and I'm going to say this many times as I can. These players, the amount of money spent, you should be challenging for the league. But realistically, you aren't even challenging for top 4. Okay, you're not listening to me, Sava. You aren't listening. If you ask any team in the world that spent that much money, they should be challenging for the league. But realistically, yes.
Two different things.
Now you're listening. Now you're listening.
I heard you the first time. Two different things.
What do you mean? I literally said the same.
Two different things. Should they be challenging for the league after spending £1 billion?
Yes.
I would say normally a club, yes, but not for me. I've said this so many times. After trying to do it in 3 windows, I said you can't do it. You cannot put a squad together in 3 windows, change everything about. Let's be fair. If you look at Chelsea 2 years ago, let's just go back 2 years, right? Don't even have to go further back than that. Look at this football club from 2 years ago to today. Every single aspect of this football club is different. The scouts, the director of football, the managers, the owners, nearly all of the players other than Thiago Silva and Sterling, Sterling's actually been there the last 2 years, right? The whole club, they've tried to do a kind of overhaul project like what Pep and Klopp have done at Liverpool and City, but they've tried to do it in such a short space of time that I just think it's madness. Now, I agree with you. Normally, if you're going to spend £1 billion, so if you spend £1 billion over 4 or 5 years, I'm saying, yeah, that's now your squad. You've got to be going and winning. The problem with Chelsea for me is what they've done is everyone knew they had money. So they were their own worst enemies because they tried to do so much so quick. Everyone went, hang on, you want this player? All right. Well, this player's probably 70 million. We want 110, please. And Chelsea was so desperate to change everything like that they were going, yeah, cool. Caicedo is a very good footballer. Enzo Fernandez is a very good footballer. They are products of their surroundings. We've seen this many times throughout the last, I'll say, few decades, forever. Some players, they're in a club, it doesn't quite work because of the system, because of the manager, because the club's not doing well. You drop them into another scenario, all of a sudden you go, God, where was that player? Right? If you dropped Enzo Fernandez right now into the Man City midfield, right? No one's sitting there going, oh, this guy isn't a good player. He can't do this because he's playing in a winning team, in a winning formula, in a better system that plays football with a top manager. So I'm not saying these players are brilliant, but the problem is they've tried getting loads of good young footballers and going, go on, gel. And I don't think that can work for. I don't know. I'll ask you two. No? Has that ever worked for any football club before? I don't think I've ever seen it.
It's never worked. It's never worked. And people will quote and try and state the class of '92, but they came into a team with Schmeichel, Pallister, Bruce, Cantona, McClare, Cole. There was so much experience. And some of those class of 92 players were playing the previous season when the Kanchelskis and the Paul Inces and Mark Hughes were still at the football club. So they were bed into a team. And Gary Neville spoke about this when United had a really young team on the beginning of Ollie. And they said, how good do you think they're going to become? And Gary Neville said something which I believe is true. You never know how good a young player is going to become. Every single young player has, they can have brilliant ability, world-class ability, generational ability, but that doesn't dictate they're going to become the player their ability suggests they may be. And if you don't have elder statesmen who are in good nick, that are ingrained within your club, it's very hard for the young players. Mainu right now is looking great for Man United. Young Garnacho is starting to do his bits. But if you threw them into the Chelsea team, they wouldn't be doing what they're doing right now. Because who would they have had to learn off? In fact, the front line's really struggled this year with Rashford having his problems, with Garnacho and Højlund starting together because they're both so young. They're now starting to find a little bit of chemistry, but they're still very, very young. What they really need is someone who's a little bit older, a little bit more experienced to help guide them. But we're nowhere near the level that Chelsea have got problems with. I don't think Enzo or Caicedo are necessarily overrated by the standard football fan. I think, of course, there are some that will talk about them like they are Xavi and Iniesta. And oh my God, when them two start a game together, it's going to be the best midfield pairing in the league. Yes, I agree. Anyone who thinks like that was crazy. I think individually they're brilliant. I was annoyed when Chelsea got them, but to get collectively together in this team with for me, a manager that isn't good enough, they're drowning and they're being damaged. And where I get the same sense as I've seen at United with a number of our players that come in, you buy them young with hype, you buy them old with good experience, and they fall away. You know, they absolutely fall away into the oblivion. So I feel sorry for them. I get where you're coming from, Mo. I don't think you're.
Why do you feel sorry for them?
I feel sorry for them. But I feel sorry for them on a professional sense because I don't think. The players.
I agree. I feel sorry for the players.
I don't. They have 8-year contract. Their future is secured. I think this contract. I think they chose wrong.
Yeah, but that's not. But there's a difference, Mo. There's a difference between looking at a player and saying, "Oh, that player's financially sound for 8 years. He's got a contract," and there's a difference between looking at it and saying, "Are they going into environments that are good?" Yeah. They're in an environment now where, and you could say maybe that's their fault for choosing to go there. And I'm not excusing Chelsea. I think the place is a mess, and I really didn't.
So they chose the money. So I don't feel sorry for them. So.
I don't think they chose the money. I think that's an oversimplification.
They were going to get paid wherever they went. Let's be fair. Wherever Enzo Fernandez went, are you telling me that Caicedo had gone to Liverpool? He's not getting paid handsomely.
He wasn't going to get 8-year contract, 100%.
No, I never said that. He's still going to get paid. He might get a 5-year contract.
Everybody's going to get paid. Everybody's going to get paid ever.
Right.
No.
But there's a difference between looking at young. Listen, they are, at the end of the day, they are still a lot of young players. Yeah, there's a lot of young players there. For me, what they needed to do was bring in a couple of very experienced footballers to be around them. So in the summer, when you're seeing the likes of Kovacic has gone, right? You look at all the other players like Kovacic in the midfield, Mount. I'm not saying these are brilliant players, by the way, but my point is the experience that you've lost from Kovacic, Mount. Who's the other one that went? Did Kante go? They lost all their experience. And now you look at their midfield. Whichever way you spin it, you've got Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, Conor Gallagher, Chuck Wamaker. These are all young kids that have got no one to look around at and go, oh, that's how you do it. This is the guy to settle us down. You know, at the back, you've got Thiago Silva, who's old. But other than that, it's very young again. Up front, it's all very young. For me, that's where I think they've gone wrong. They put some
the club has gone wrong. You're talking about the club.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, but the players, though, why do you think Caicedo chose Chelsea over Liverpool?
His agents already said why, because they'd already agreed and they wanted to stick with the agreement. So they'd already said yes.
Going to say that. I don't believe his agent because there's no way he was going to choose.
That's what we know. I'm
being logical, Terry. I'm being logical.
I know there's an extra 3 years on the deal. Liverpool would have offered a 5-year deal. Chelsea offered an 8-year deal. Yes, that's a guarantee of more money in his career, but how many players of the level we're talking about have you seen, by the time they're 25, have to retire because of a bad injury or something in a modern day game? It's very unlikely at the end of that 5 years at Liverpool, we wouldn't have seen Caicedo kick a ball again. And finances are definitely a motivation for certain people. But where I say I feel sorry for them is these are young, they've been given bad advice, in my opinion. They've been given bad advice because even if the project at Chelsea, was the way you've got to look at it is this. Your agent should be looking at this and saying, hang on a bloody minute. They've signed 151 kids. They're signing no experienced players. This could go wrong for all these reasons. It's a great offer. It's a great deal. Thank you for your interest. But Caicedo, I don't think this is the right place for you. And Enzo's is a little different because he kind of came in halfway through. So they hadn't signed as many of these young players at that point. But I think it's bad advice. And I think that's where I feel sorry for them, because as much as you're looking at this, I don't quite know how old you are, Mo, but I'm going to guess you're about 35, right? And
yeah, about 32.
Okay, 32. Oh, you're 32?
I'm not, bro. Anyway, I'm older than you.
Okay. Sorry, I'm being nice, right? So we're all a bit older. We've been through life. We view things as older men. When you're 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, your brain don't work like it works now. In fact, your brain isn't even fully formed until you're 25. So when it comes to this decision-making of this level with such emotive subjects, you need good advice around you. You don't need emotion, and you don't need agents that are looking for the money. Maybe the agent went for the money, absolutely. But there's so many cases and so many stories of players being misrepresented. And I think that, again, hindsight's lucrative. I wasn't calling this stuff out when it was going on because I thought, and I believe that the people that Chelsea had hired to come in and run the club from Leipzig and all the other places, I thought, well, they know what they're doing. So I know there's some speculation that it's going to be really bad. I just thought that was a little bit of you're chatting nonsense. But I have to put my hands up and say, I got this wrong as an outsider looking in. This is an absolute mess. Now the stories are coming out and you're like, wow. You know, if I knew then what I knew now, I definitely would have a difference of opinion. So I do feel a little bit sorry for these players. Not on a financial level. I don't feel sorry for them on a personal level because they're millionaires. Great. I'm talking about their career development because if Chelsea don't turn things around soon, some of these players' careers are going to be wasted. And I do feel for that. That's just me personally.
Don't you think as well, though, like, and look, as I've said, sack him. I don't care. It's nothing to do with me at the end of the day. I get the feeling that it looks like a club where he's not got the input. So as much as we want to blame him, I get the feeling it looks like a club where it's very much like he's just getting players chucked in front of him. And it just looks like, again, he's not really had the input to say, this is who I want, this is who I don't want, because it's a really unbalanced squad. Like, to spend that much money and still you've not got a striker and still you've ended up with those two goalkeepers. Now, to be fair, is it Petkovic has actually done okay. Whenever I've watched him, he doesn't look dreadful. But you've ended up with no centre forward of note and no goalkeeper of note. You've still got Thiago Silva playing at the age of, 38, 39, whatever he is. And I look at it and I think, this doesn't look to me like he's had all the input. Now, that could be said for many managers across different clubs. But if you are going to lift and shift 25, 30 footballers in 3 windows, that's in 18 months, you're going to go, right, here's a brand new group of players. I don't know why anyone thought they'd be challenging for a title. I said this at the beginning of the season. People going, they've got to win the league. I just don't see.
What are you saying, Sava? What are you saying, Sava? Then he's not to blame for being 11th.
No. I'm saying the whole. Listen,
you're trying to make excuses for them. You're
no,
really trying to make excuses.
No, Mo, I'm not. Listen to what I'm saying.
Oh, literally, you are.
Love you, Poch.
No, Mo. Listen to what I'm saying. For me, he's not helping himself with the decisions he makes. He's not helping himself, and on that basis, he should go in any other walk of life. Then I said, look, that's one bucket. Then look at this bucket over here. I think they've bought really, really badly in terms of putting a squad together. 3, I think they've prepared badly. As well as buying badly, they've prepared badly, trying to do everything in 18 months. I'm not excusing him, but no, I don't care. I wanted him sacked at Spurs. There's no Poch love from me. But at the end of the day, anyone who goes, they should be winning the league just because £1 billion was spent, for me, that's really making it black and white when it's not.
Yes,
I don't think they should be anywhere near the title. They're not that good.
I agree they shouldn't be based on what they have and what they're doing. But when you invest £1 billion into a team that had just won the Champions League,
agreed.
You know, imagine this: Arsenal haven't even won the Champions League. But genuinely, if you spent £1 billion on this Arsenal squad now, there's no way you wouldn't be expecting it to dominate English. If you just in the next 12 months you put £1 billion more into it, you would be saying, "Oh, you've got to be beating City.
Got to win the league." You would see you got to win the league, not challenge. If you don't win, you're out.
Or the best part of £1 billion. So in terms of, I've got a super chat here. Actually, I want to do first. That says, okay, we'll come back to that one. This here says, it's not we overrate them. The club bought the players. Not the manager. All the players we have are club players, not manager bought players. That's our problem. Our owners have messed it up. What I find interesting about that is all I've heard, and I've advocated for this in the past 5 years, is that clubs have got to adopt a club first approach. So a club system, a club style, club type players, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, Dortmund, Brighton, Ajax, irrespective of your size, a club model. As soon as clubs start doing it and there's a struggle, it's terrible we're doing this. We should just buy for the manager.
Yeah, but I don't think Chelsea have got it, have they? The difference is the clubs you mentioned there they've got models, right? They've got models that you can lift and shift into. The thing is with Chelsea, their owners have come in and tried to create that model overnight. Listen, yes. I think it's the same with any walk of life. It's the same with any walk of life. If you try to do too much too quickly, yeah, and your opposition But I'm not excusing him. They're doing terribly. But your opposition are teams like Liverpool and City, for example, that have been doing it for years. Even Arteta at Arsenal, that have built this squad over years, have implemented their philosophy. That's why at the beginning of the season, I just said, I think it's going to be a tougher year for Chelsea than people think. And I really, really, really do not think that in any way, shape or form, they should be challenging for anywhere near the league. They don't.
Okay.
They're just
Inter did
nowhere.
this. So Inter did this.
When?
Okay, so in 1920, Antonio Conte took over the club. We just made Champions League, and he said, "You know what? We spent 250 million at that time. That was a lot of money. We bought Lukaku. I think we bought Barella. We got Diego Godin. We got a lot of new players. Alexis Sanchez from Man United, if you remember that time. We got a lot of players. And instantly, he improved the team. We came second, Europa League final. The year after, won the league.
I think the two.
I am
very
just saying that it can.
though.
I am not saying that they should
they're
win the
very
league,
different.
Sava.
Yeah,
But they should look
They
much
should be better
better
than
than
they are.
this.
Yeah. That I agree with. They
Like,
should
that's
look-
much better than this.
Mo, that's exactly what I said.
Alright.
That's exactly what I said. But the whole they should be winning the league. I think people just looked at the 1 billion and don't look at all the other factors that go into it. For me, if you're going to give a manager £1 billion, get your manager at the beginning of a project and go, right, this is the manager we're going to give £1 billion to over the next 4 years. They're going to have £250 million a year, and we're going to do it slowly. 3 or 4 players in, 3 or 4 players out, each window for 4 or 5 windows. That way you go, right, this manager has been backed. These are all his own players. He's had 4 years to get this right. The problem is doing it in 3 windows with, if I'm not wrong, guys, if I'm not wrong, that £1 billion was spent with 3 different managers in the different windows.
Yeah.
If I'm not wrong.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, I
It
think the
started
club
with-
went to. I think that how the club did it is that they bought the players and they tried to find the manager that will suit that project, not the other way around.
Exactly.
So they bought
Exactly,
young
it's not
players,
worked.
and they did what like Arsenal. And when we come to Arsenal, we'll talk about this. They bought a lot of youngsters, and they said we want this youth project, young. We replace our youth system with a lot of these youngsters from Brazil, from here and there, trying to sell them. But who do we turn into that developed a young team before that got them and made them relevant in the Premier League and developed these young players and made superstars that Real Madrid would want? Oh, you, Pochettino. They didn't ask Pochettino, who do you want? They said, you are the one who to develop these players, not the other way around. And this is when they went wrong.
So you're talking about his time at Spurs?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So if you're going to do that, then you have to look at a few factors. During his time at Spurs, the first year was atrocious. The first year under Pochettino at Tottenham Hotspur was horrible, and he was nearly sacked, right? And then whether this is luck, whether this is a stroke of
Can you
genius,
define atrocious, Sava, please?
we were really bad to watch. Like what Chelsea fans say now, we were bad to watch. There was no philosophy.
Where were you in the league?
God, that year, Jesus,
I can't
we
remember,
finished-
and I doubt you can remember. I'm not asking you to remember, but I guarantee you weren't 11.
What season? What season was his first season? What year?
God, 2000
14, 15. Or
14,
13,
15.
Yeah, 13,
There we
14,
go.
15, 14, 15. They weren't 11th people.
No,
I get what you're saying.
No, but you're
We
not-
agree on
Hang
something.
on,
Yeah,
hang on,
yeah,
guys. 14, 15. 14, 15 Spurs were 5th.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
We
it
weren't-
wasn't atrocious.
Hang on. I never said through league position we were. You've got to listen to what I'm saying. I said the football was bad. We weren't looking good. There didn't seem to be any team cohesion. Then we started to click towards the end of the season. Harry Kane came in. This was when Harry Kane was a kid. Do you remember when every other fan base in the world was saying one season wonder? Harry Kane came in and something just sparked. Then moving into the next season, he started to get a couple more players in like Son and, if I'm not wrong, Toby Alderweireld. Then it all started to click into place. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen at Chelsea, but he didn't come to Spurs and do brilliantly to begin with. We weren't very good at all. It took him a long time.
I disagree with you. That word you just said, that the football word wasn't clicking and all this stuff, that's subjective. At the end,
I mean, it wasn't if you supported Spurs and watched them in that season.
See, it doesn't,
no, it wasn't
see, you're looking at it from a Spurs point of view. You're looking at it from, I want to enjoy the football. That's not the
no. It wasn't just about enjoying the football.
You literally said that.
Mo, listen to what I'm saying.
I am listening to what you're saying.
Okay, listen to what I'm saying. It was everything.
Let me finish the sentence.
He couldn't.
I am responding to what you are saying, Sava. You literally said the football wasn't clicking. It wasn't clicking into gear until he got this player. But at the end, this is very subjective. I can accept a manager that will defend for 90 minutes for 38 games. It look absolutely horrible and win me the league.
Yeah, it wasn't that though. It wasn't that. That's what I'm trying to say to you.
Can you define what do you mean? If you become fifth in the Premier League and you're calling that atrocious, can you define that then?
No, because Mo, what you're doing, Mo, is I'm saying certain things and you're saying that I've said this is atrocious. I didn't say the league finish was atrocious. The football wasn't very good at all. It was constantly changing the 11, like what I've seen him do with Chelsea, constantly trying out different partnerships, playing people out of position. And as Spurs fans, we were like, oh my God, why is he playing this bloke there? Why is he playing him there? Now, we were always going to be decent enough to stay out there because we had decent players. We had some players that could get you over the line.
Did you have
in games.
players as good as now as Chelsea? Did you have the
we had more experienced players than what they've got now. We had people like Christian Eriksen. We had people like Emmanuel Adebayor. We had some players like Jan Vertonghen. So Hugo Lloris. We had a core of players that would play each week that were more senior. But I'm not defending him. I'm not saying that's going to happen again. But my point was, anyone going, oh, look, let's see what he can do if he can do what he did at Spurs. It took a while to get to that. It took a while for us to be the team that everyone enjoyed watching.
Well, I think if they got fifth, they would be absolutely very happy, Chelsea, at this point.
Sure, but
they aren't fifth, are they?
But you're talking about league position. I've not once mentioned league position. I'm talking about the actual structure of the club, the playing style, what was happening on the pitch. It was all a bit, oh my God, what is this guy doing? There were calls for this guy to get sacked. And there was a game if there's any Spurs fans in the chat, they'll tell me it was Aston. I want to say Aston Villa, but I might be lying. I want to say Aston Villa where we were losing or drawing 1-1. He'd had a really, really bad run. And everyone was saying he's going to get sacked if he doesn't win today. And then Kane, as a kid, comes on, scores a free kick. And it was one of them moments in football where it clicked. And from then on, we actually had a good run and actually started to click. Then he got a few more players and then it just clicked. I haven't said that will happen here, but then we had a few more experienced players. At the moment, I look around at this Chelsea team. I don't know where they're going to for their experience. I don't know where they're going to for their
It's all
goals.
about the experience then, but there was a style of play in the beginning of the season. There was a way of playing football. They were first in ball position, first in passes completed, first in chances created, right? So there was a style of play, but results weren't here. I think there was a style of play. And I believe Spurs at that time, you got fifth. How bad can it be if you got fifth? If he was chopping and changing and getting a result, how bad can it be?
We had, Mo, as I just said to you, we had a really good run-in towards the end of the season. We had a good run-in towards the end of the season where we started to look better. It just clicked. Honestly, listen, Mo, you could say whatever you like about fifth, whatever. The Spurs fans will tell you that it nearly went very, very south for him.
Spurs fans aren't objective when it comes to this because they are Spurs fans. I'm objective because I don't support Spurs.
Okay, but you're being objective about a season that you don't really know anything about. You're just looking that we finished fifth. The ups and downs of that season was madness. It's like the other season when under Conte, when we finished fourth, we were terrible that season and then had a good run at the end and finished fourth. Doesn't mean we were brilliant all season. Things can change. So I'm not saying keep him. Chelsea can sack him. I don't care. He's not my manager. I wanted him sacked from Spurs.
So do you believe he was the right manager for the job then?
At Chelsea?
Yes. Not in hindsight. At that time, they have a lot of kids.
I said at the time.
I said
at the time, I'm not sure who comes in and does well right now because they're a mess. And do you know what? I'm going to say it again right now. The next manager that comes in, let's keep this same energy after 20 league games. The next manager, the same energy. The same energy. The next manager coming in. If let's say Poch loses 5-0 tonight. Let's just say, for example, right? Let's say Poch loses tonight, right? and get sacked. I'm hearing that he can't be sacked because of FFP. But anyway, let's say he goes, hypothetical world. The next manager comes in, he's got 15 league games left. Let's say he does terribly. Chelsea fans are going to get on that manager's back as well.
Sack him and all. Sack him and all.
Right. Okay. So
Sack
sure.
him and all.
Okay. So sure. So Mo, then at what point I'm asking the question, does it then become, hang on, so it was Potter, Tuchel, Lampard, Poch, this new manager, let's just call him Jack Jones. All 5 of those have done badly, but you want to just keep sacking managers every 20 games.
Yes.
At what point? Yes. Okay. Cool. How does it ever get better then if you're going to do that? At what point do you have?
Right. So here is the thing. It's
But
all
in
how
20
you
games.
yes. It's all how you view your club. It's all how you view your club. I'm not saying sack him if he's 5th or 4th or 6th, but if you're 10th, if you lose 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row. Inter sacked 2 managers after 5 games. We sacked De Boer and we sacked Gasperini. This is what you consider when you consider yourself a big club. And I keep saying this, and I don't know why people don't want to hear it, right? If you're a big club, failure should not be accepted. I'm not saying you have to win the freaking league because there's only one league winner. But I'm saying if you keep losing games, sack the guy, get the next guy in line, and get the 3rd guy in line until you get it right. We did the same Inter until we won the league and we reached a Champions League final. We sacked the guy that came 4th and made us make the Champions League, right? After 7 years. What happened after? We won the league. We got the guy that is better than him. That's the problem.
So I'll ask you then.
I'm not going to tell you black and white, right? I'm not about that. Football is about perspective and objectives and how you look at it. But if a manager comes in 20 games, loses 12 of them, sack the guy, get the next one in.
Okay.
Because 12 games for Chelsea lost is not acceptable. Same for Man United. It's how you view your club.
I get you. So, okay. So they're just going to... So I just want to be brutally clear here, right? You're saying, so the next manager comes in, has a bad 15 games or doesn't hit the heights that Chelsea fans want because he's got a new style, that none of these players are his. He needs time to implement and work out who his players are. But if he doesn't do that in 15 to 20 games, he's out and the next man comes in.
Not that. If he loses 13 or 12 games out of 15, he should get sacked.
Okay,
because
sure.
I believe no manager...
13 out of 15.
Poch is 11th. Sava, Poch is 11th.
I didn't say wasn't.
Games.
I'm going. Hang on. I'm going by.
Okay.
I just asked you to set the standards, so I know what rules.
I am setting the standards.
You set the standards. I then answered that standard, and you said he's 11th. Cool. So is the standard the number of defeats or where you are in the league?
But that's it's correlated because it depends. It's very correlated.
Yeah, but it's generally speaking.
It's correlated to like.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking,
if you lose games, you will fall in the table.
It's going to be where you are in the league. In reality, you could lose 11 games and be top if everyone's lost. I don't know if everyone could physically lose 11 games each, but
I don't think so.
But generally speaking, when you lose 12 games, you're going to be around mid-table, aren't you?
Listen.
Yes, I don't know what the other teams will do, but I'm looking at.
Sure. Listen,
you know how it is, right?
Listen, as I said.
You're trying to put me in a corner, but this
hang on.
It makes sense, to be honest.
Listen, no, it made perfect sense. It made perfect sense.
No, hold on. Right? But you losing games will correlate to you dropping in the league table.
Sure. So I'm asking then. So the next manager, what does the next manager need to do? Let's just call it around 20 games. He's got 20 league games. The next manager. What does the next manager, whether it's Chelsea or any other club, have to do in order to not be sacked? And a backup question to that, Mo, is at what stage, if you keep doing that, we're saying you keep doing it until it gets better.
It works.
What is okay? But when you say works, what is acceptable to then not sack a manager? Because 20 games.
I'm gonna explain. So what Ten Hag did last season, for example, took Man United, showed at least a home style of play. They were second, and I said that many times. They were second in the home form. They were very tight defensively. They won a cup, reached another cup final. He showed a lot of promise. That's when he kept a manager in 20 games. You can show your style of play, which is. By the way, your manager showed us that you can have a style of play with bad players while winning games. Right, so that's not hard to do.
Have we got bad players when our best 11 is in there? Are we playing bad players?
But he still played the style of play, and we show signs without good players. Didn't he draw at Man City with Emerson Royal and the other people? Didn't he win games without James Maddison? Didn't he get a tune out of Richarlison? Didn't get a tune out of Timo Werner? This is Ant Postecoglou, bro.
Sure.
You
listen.
asked me the question, and when I answered it, here's the answer then. Final answer, right? Final answer.
Go on.
You show me a style of play. You win games because this is a winning business. You have to win games if you consider yourself a big club. You show improvement. You are warranted maybe another time. Otherwise, you move backward. You lose a lot of games.
Sure.
You don't show a style of play, right? You don't improve players. You get sacked, and the next one in line comes in.
Sure. Listen, do you know what? I'll be interested to see. And by the way, as I said, it's not my team. I don't care. Keep doing it. We'll see when that works. We'll see when that works.
With it. That's what I don't know.
Of course I disagree with it. Of course I disagree with it.
You think that Chelsea should keep, okay, I'm not saying 11 because you said Poch should get sacked. But I'm going to ask you something. If a Chelsea get a manager in the next, I'm going to put you on a hypothetical. If Chelsea get a manager the next 20 games, right? And they lose 10 and they stay 11th in the league, do you believe that manager deserves the next season to get his players and all this stuff?
I believe that you will have a manager that is then having to cope with the fallout of the last 18 months to 2 years that has been run badly. This is what no one's taken into account, right? Let me throw your scenario back at you, right?
Yes, please.
If Pep Guardiola leaves Man City tomorrow, hypotheticals, right?
Yeah.
What are we expecting? Whoever takes over this Man City squad, what are we expecting them to do between now and the end of the season?
Now until the end of the season?
Yeah, what are we expecting them to do?
Depending
on any manager can come in. Nagelsmann.
What do you expect them to do?
Nagelsmann comes into Man City tomorrow. What's he got to do this season?
So they play 22 games. They have...
No. What's
I'm going to answer the question, Sava. I'm going to answer the question. What you want to Okay, Sava.
Because I'm trying to flow. I'm trying to flow with my point.
Sava, please. You want a specific answer. And when I start answering a different answer, you cut me off. So let me answer it simply, Sava. They have 16 games left. If they win at least 13 games or 14 games out of the 16 games left, they are around the top. They lose the league, win the league, of course, is the best outcome. Lose the league within a point or two in the last game or two, this manager did a good job. But if this manager comes fourth, this manager isn't good enough to lead this squad. Did I answer the question?
I was trying to flow and it did. Yeah, but listen, whoever comes into Man City, I'll simplify this for you. Apparently. No, whoever comes into Man City has to win the league. Everything is ready at Man City to win the league. Their squad is brilliant. The stadium is great. There is no problems at the club. There's no problems in the dressing room. There's no problem with the hierarchy. So if Pep left right now, the manager comes in, go. Right? The difference is whoever comes in at Chelsea is now picking up 2 years of mess. Whichever manager you want that comes in is picking up 2 years of mess, of bad technical directors, of bad scouting, bad signings, 3 or 4 different managers that all try to implement something different. So the new manager comes in and we're saying, right, you've inherited all this 2-year mess. You've got 20 games. And if you don't do X, Y, or Z, you are sacked in 20 games. That's fine. Do it. That's fine. But if you keep doing that, at no point can a club actually grow and build. Because every manager is going to be coming in. A new manager could come in tomorrow and go, I hate everything that Poch has done. I'm going to go to a back 5. I haven't quite got the players to do it, but I'm going to play this style. And then I'm going to get to the summer and buy my own players. Yeah. In that time, he's going to lose games because he hasn't got the players to play his style. And he'll go, right, I need my own players. Oh, well, you're sacked because you didn't do well. Well, hang on. You gave me all the players I inherited were the players that weren't performing and from a bad running of the club. So at what point do you say, right, someone's going to need some time at some point to make it their own?
You have to show signs to be granted time. You have to show signs. I'm going to tell you what I mean.
Sure.
When Thomas Tuchel came to Chelsea, they weren't great. Everybody wanted Lampard sacked. They got Thomas Tuchel. I don't like Thomas Tuchel. It's not my cup of tea. But Thomas Tuchel came in. What he did is tighten the defense because they were scoring as much as they conceding at that season. That's why he won the league, but that's why he won the Champions League, by the way. He tightened the defense. He was able to stop them leaking goals, scored some goals. Offensively, they weren't as fluid as under Lampard. We know that. But he gave the board the reason because he won games. They made Champions Leagues and they won the Champions League. He gave them the reason to give him another year. That's an example of how a manager can absolutely
I'll ask you,
convince a board to give you another league, another time.
Did Tuchel come into the mess that you find at Chelsea now? This is again
That's
context.
very subjective, but
it's not subjective. Look at the mess.
Why. I'm going to tell you why, because I'm not asking the
it.
new manager. Okay, let me answer you with one sentence. Because I'm not asking the new manager to win the Champions League. So it's relative, bro. It's relative.
It's all relative. Every football fan right now, I don't think any of us would disagree. Chelsea are a mess, right? Everyone agree with that?
Absolutely.
Right, Chelsea are a mess, but we want to drop in a guy here and go on.
What are we asking?
It's a mess. Sort out all these players' mentalities, sort them out all out positionally, implement your style, show signs. You've got 20 games, go. I just feel like at some point it's got to stop, and at some point they need a manager that has a full summer, then a full year and another summer so that it can start to be their players and their philosophy. I just think at the end of the day, we can keep doing this 20 games, but the best two clubs in the league have had their managers for years and years and years and years and don't keep changing their managers. It can't be a coincidence that the teams that are first, second and third in the league, how long have they had their managers?
But I will, barring Arsenal, they're a good example because of how badly they started. But if Pep would have been 11th after his first season, no style of football getting worse, talking like he is, maybe he wouldn't have lasted. Maybe. Well, we don't know. It's a hypothetical, but
it's more likely than not. He would not have lasted.
Yeah. Like, guys, I want to go to
we can all put hypotheticals, but we see more likely
for the interest of time, boys. I want to go to somebody's super chats here. There's actually a question that got put in from Sard, one of our members. He says, guys, the team is so raw and he had most of his players injured. No right back or left back. Poch got thrown under the bus by the owners with how raw these players are. Simply, how can you expect Poch to get them far when he currently sits fourth in the league for XG and the players are not scoring?
So keep him then, Sad. So is that what this question is? So keep him? Is that what you said? I said, 11th. Listen, I don't know how many times I can repeat that. You see 11th, you lose that many games, you get sacked.
Can I ask, if the new manager comes in, who's scoring the goals for the new manager till now, the end of the season?
Why was Jackson good in the
Jackson's not good enough.
Why was he good in the preseason? Why were people talking about Jackson?
Mo, we've seen many players that look very good in pre-seasons. It's not real life. It's not the same as when you get to games. I'm asking a question. If a new manager's dropped in, by the way, I can't say this a number of times. I'm seeing what everyone's saying, like I'm defending Poch. I don't care. Sack him. I don't care. But all I'm chucking is, if a new manager comes in now, who's scoring the goals between now and the end of the season? And then when Chelsea have a high XG between now and the end of the season and don't score, are we going to blame the new manager for that as well?
Listen, great point. Viewers, give us your opinions on that. Sonny here says, Milo Mudryk would have flourished at Arsenal, no doubt in his mind.
Give me a break. The guy's not even a footballer. Just give me a break.
Are the Chelsea players playing for the manager?
I don't think they're buying into the whole thing. Like, I was watching the game here on the weekend, and in the commentary, I don't know who you guys got, but we had Jim Biglin, and they were saying that the only player they think cares about the club was Conor Gallagher in that game, even though he wasn't playing good. They said the way he looks was only. They said the rest of them head drop down. They don't believe, which I don't know whose fault is that. Is it Poch, the players, or the 8-year contracts? But
I hear you there. This year says they should at least challenge for the top 6. I think that was a fair thing at the beginning of the season. Just shows time and patience spending is key to progress. I've always been Arteta in. He has progressed more in his time than the managers at United, Chelsea, Spurs. Throwing money left, right, and centre without vision is an example at Chelsea. Fair point there. Spurs won 4 of their last 10 games that year, is what Charles says. But that's followed up by Matt, who turned around and says, Poch got us 5th, our highest finish in 5 years, obviously in his first season. Viewers, look, we want to know what you think on just very quickly for tonight, boys. Score predictions for tonight?
3-1 Villa.
Yeah, 3-0, 3-1. Yeah. I don't think they've got goals in them.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 2-0 Villa in the game. Personally, viewers, let us know your predictions for that. Arsenal at the weekend stepped up, scored the goals. I listen, they shocked me. I thought they were going to narrowly beat Liverpool, but they actually dominated them in large parts. They stood up to the pressure. Mo, how impressed were you with Arsenal, and what message do you think this has sent to the Premier League in terms of their title race credentials?
He proved a lot of people wrong, Mikel Arteta. And I raised my hand. I said I predicted a draw. I didn't think Liverpool would be that bad, and I didn't think that Arteta has this masterclass in him in big games. I actually think that this game should be the kickstart of the way they play football. He was direct. He was different than the control football he wanted to play. I think they showed us how weak Liverpool sometimes without their main players. Arteta absolutely schooled Jurgen Klopp in this game in terms of tactics, the way he set up his team, the way he put Jorginho where he put him, and the way Declan Rice played, and the way even Kai Havertz played. So that game, okay, it puts them in the title, like contention again, but I still think they will not win the league. They have a chance of winning the league. They have a bigger chance of winning the league. But this game, it's not about you winning against Liverpool or Man City at home. It's about you winning against West Ham away from home. It's about you winning against Brighton away from home. This is what it's about. This game, to be honest, tells me more about Arteta in big games. He managed very, very good game, but I don't think it changes anything in terms of like the way I look at the team still against the smaller teams, so-called. But it's a masterclass by Arteta. He deserves credit. I believe this game should have been 3-0 or 4-0 because Arsenal absolutely made a record. Nobody made Liverpool look as mediocre as this. But I still believe they have to do a lot. They have to win against West Ham for me to be convinced that, listen,
when you say serious
about this.
When you say convinced, because again, they're not the favourite for the Premier League. So this notion that I hear a lot of, they have to win the Prem. Well, City are the best team in the world, so they have to win the Prem because they're the best. Like the expectations on the better team, that the best team should be to win the league more so than the team that have been predicted as second, third, or fourth best this season. So what are you still waiting to be convinced on? Because they've been essentially in and around the top of the league since the opening game of last season. So you're now talking 18, 19 months of football where they've been pretty much that whole time in what you would call a quote-unquote title race because they're up by the top. What more convincing do they need to do for you to make you believe they're a serious team that's challenging the titles?
I believe they're going to be around the title. They might go to the last like game week 35 or something. I still believe that Arsenal, their chances of winning the league is slimmer than Liverpool and Manchester City. With them winning the league put them ahead of Spurs because if they have lost that game, and I said that, they've had as much chance as Spurs, Aston Villa, or Man United to win the league. But now they put themselves ahead of these guys, but still they are behind Liverpool and Man City to win the league. Me to be convinced that they can win it. Me to tell somebody that, listen, this Arsenal team can win the league title with a full mouth, like they have equal chances as Liverpool. They need to win some more games. They need to win against West Ham. You winning the last 3 games is good. It puts you back in the conversation. But I believe this Arsenal team still have some work to do to be convinced that, listen, you have an equal chance as Liverpool, because I still believe Liverpool are the ones that might take Man City to the wire, to the end. It's not going to be Arsenal yet. Well, I'm not. People keep saying, "Oh, but you said if they win against Liverpool, you put them back in the title race." Yes, you are. Mathematically, you are. You performed very well, Arsenal fans. But again, you are the same ones who, before the game, you said there is no signs of us winning the league. You guys said that, yeah, we aren't going to win the league. We lost it against West Ham and Fulham. Even though you believe that you might win against Liverpool, I'm still holding the same energy. You put yourself in a good position to go and challenge now, but you need to win against West Ham. Simple as that. You need to win against the smaller teams, and you haven't been very convincing. People just they want to hear what they want to hear. They want to stand in front of the mirror and just sleep well. This is what they want to do, to be honest. You just want to, whatever makes you sleep at night, people want to do that. But that's it.
Sav, I want to ask you about what Mo's just said. A lot of Arsenal fans are saying in the comment sections. Do you feel like the goalpost move against Arsenal? Because last week it was they have to win this or their season's over. They win it, and it's, yeah, well, if you don't beat Fulham, season's over. It's wherever they're told the line is by rivals, they meet the line, and then
they've got to do something else.
And then they've got to do something else. And I don't think it's Arsenal fans at large wanting to be told you're going to win the title, you're amazing. I think they just want to hear you're a good team that's going to challenge for the title. Well done. I think they just almost want to hear what we all know they are, and that is that they're a really good team and they're in the title race. I don't even think most Arsenal fans see themselves as favourites.
Listen, first of all, hats off. It's the best I've seen Arsenal play all season. I thought they were absolutely superb in that first half. And to be fair, it should have been 2 or 3 up. Liverpool never really got going. To be fair, a lot of that in the first half, Arsenal didn't allow Liverpool to get going. Yeah, a couple of unfortunate goals in the game from both teams, but Arsenal were well worth the money for their win. Fair play to them. I've always said Arsenal were a good team. Do I see them winning the league? No. Nothing's changed from me on that front. Are they in it? Of course they're in it. They're in it. I said last week they had to win. I didn't think they would. Fair enough. I said they had to win to stay in with a shout, and they're there. They're there. Do I think they're as good as City and Liverpool over X amount of games? No. I don't think for me, I could do this in game week 35, 36, game week 1, game week 2. I'll pick my front three my three at the beginning of the season. And that's how I think it's going to finish. But fair play to them. I can't sit here just because I'm a Spurs fan and go, oh, they didn't deserve it. Or they thoroughly deserved the win. I think with the goalposts moving, look, anyone who wants to win a league, there's no room for error. There's no room for error. You can get away with losing X amount of games throughout a season. You can have X amount of bad runs. City had their dip and now are flying. So City are absolutely flying. Arsenal had a dip. Now they've managed to get 3 in a row. Got to go again against West Ham. Things change. We talk about this all the time. Things change very quickly in football. Right now, the gap between the two clubs is nothing, right? Man City have a game in hand. They win that game. They go 3 points clear of Arsenal. If Arsenal lose to West Ham, suddenly they can go 6 points clear. Equally, Man City lose at the weekend and Arsenal win. Suddenly, looks very interesting. So football changes quickly. Arsenal are a good team. I still think they'll be third. I don't think there'll be a lot in it between them and Liverpool. I really don't. But I do think City will still win this league. I think they've got more, as I said last week, more know-how, more ability to get over the line, better players. They're a better football team. But I can't see when City next lose a game. That's the problem for me. When I look at City,
really believe that? Yeah, go ahead. Does anybody believe that Arsenal are going to go to the Etihad and win because they won against Liverpool at home?
No. Arsenal will get smashed at the Etihad.
You think they'll get? Why do you think they'll get smashed?
Because I just think that when you're playing Man City with a full strength team at home, massive game, need to win it to fend off. Look, I'll just go with the same thing I said about them when they went there last year.
I don't believe the same, but I don't believe the same. I don't believe they get smashed. But yeah.
Okay. Maybe. Okay, I'm not talking about 4-0, 5-0, anything like that. But I do think it will be 3-0, 3-1, something like that. I just think at Man City, they're superior. And last year was the same. Everything was being said about Arsenal, top of the league. They play great football, blah, blah, blah. They went to Man City and were absolutely taken apart. So for me, it sounds like by saying one nice thing about one club, it means I think the other club are bad. I don't think Arsenal are a good football team. I think they're a very, very good football team. I've said this all season to you, Terry. For me, they're just shy. Had they had a better summer transfer window, we might be having a different conversation. But I think they're just shy when you look at this Man City team, they look imperious at the moment. They're sweeping everybody aside.
Yeah, they are imperious. We know how good Man City are. They're the best in the world. I think in reality, even if Arsenal had signed a prolific goal scorer, City would still be the favourites. You may think Arsenal have a better chance, but City would still be the favourites. And I think looking from the outside looking in, I think where Arsenal fans get a little jaded is City are the favourites over Liverpool. And I know Liverpool have won one of the Premier Leagues in the last 8-9 years. But when Liverpool are on good runs or they're playing well, they get praised for being a good football team. Oh, they're in the title race. This will be exciting. When the conversation comes to Arsenal, it's, yeah, but how long will they maintain it for? By the way, they've been doing it for 18 months. And the City win the league anyway. So this is how it comes across, I think, to Gooners. It doesn't matter how good Arsenal are. City are the favourites to win the league. So what the fuck are we going to praise them for? When anyone else is doing well in the league, including Villa and Spurs this year at times, there is pure praise for how well they're doing and how good they look and where can they go from here. And I know they're not quite at City's level, but wow. I feel like when it comes to Arsenal, genuinely, it's always, yeah, but they're not as good as the best team in the world, City, so fuck them. That's how
I don't think that's true. I don't think that.
I agree with Mo on this one. No one said that.
The statement you said there is not true.
Do you want to know why I think it's true?
No. But let me explain to you what I think. Though, me and you were on this particular channel, Terry, and last season after 25 games, and we said Arsenal look absolutely magnificent. They look like the real deal, and they will win the league because we were looking at every game that Arsenal played. And we said, this Arsenal team look absolutely better than everyone else. Okay. We literally at that time said, so what you just said is true only this year, but it's not true last year because I said that Arsenal...
Moment. Forget you and me for a moment. I'm talking in generals here about the majority of people, pundits, journalists. Last year, every step of the way for Arsenal, they were written off. And I think it was fair still last year to say, City, I think City will win the league. But it wasn't just, Arsenal were great. I think City are just going to pit them. I think City will beat them. It was the way Arsenal's progression was disregarded. We saw the Gary Nevilles and the Carragers, because what they all said, go back and watch the content from last year. Not only did they say they don't win it this year, it'll be harder next year, they said they wouldn't even be in the title race this year. A lot of people just said it was a one-season wonder, flash in the pan campaign. The reason I also believe that Arsenal don't get the respect they deserve for how good they currently are is after they beat Liverpool at the weekend, for 24 to 48 hours, all the media, the main pundits, rivals, Liverpool fans in general, not there's individuals that didn't, but in general spoke about, was over celebrating. What does this get? I saw Rio Ferdinand and his guys on his channel say, what does this win even really mean? Is it changed who the favourites are for the league? No. Why is everyone acting like it was such a big win? Now we know that's talking out of both sides of your mouth because in the build up to this game, it's all or nothing for Arsenal. They win, they sell it, and that's why I believe it's true. I believe that. And the reason why I'm sensitive to it is because I know if my club, and I'm preempting this, ever gets back to a title challenging worthy level, we are going to be treated in exactly the same way because we're like the mud brothers of football in terms of we've been the whipping boys and the joke for the past decade or so, which the media and rivals, no matter how bad they're doing, United and Arsenal are always worth a laugh. And I think the idea of those two teams stepping out of that vein and being good, I think it irks people. Mo, you're not like that. You're actually, even though I don't agree with everything you say, I know you're just saying how you feel. Yeah. Even with Sav, I know we had a big kickoff last week. I still think Sav speaking how he feels. I know you're actually objective. You've praised lots of teams that you wouldn't on paper like because of you
praised
support.
Arsenal, but no. The problem is when you, if I sat here and say, and I have, if you've noticed, I've said it. I've counted so far 4 times. I've already said Arsenal are a very good football team. They don't hear that. What they hear is me going, I still don't think they're going to win the league. City will. And they take that as an offence. That's me praising Man City. No, I don't think Liverpool are going to win the league. They're a good team.
I don't giving them zero chances.
Yeah,
I think the way you come across, Sava, is that you're really giving them
I'm not giving
as much of a
chance.
Okay, hear me out. You're giving them as much of a chance as Spurs or Aston Villa. Am I wrong here?
No. Hang on. Let's not bring Spurs and Villa don't need to be in this conversation. Spurs and Villa don't need to be in this conversation because
Spurs are 3 points behind Arsenal, bro.
Yeah, listen.
Am I wrong?
Yeah, we are, but
I mean, Spurs are 5 points behind Arsenal.
Spurs are not in a title race. I've said that all season. I'm not going to change my mind now. Right? Listen, Arsenal are a very, very, very good football team. Yeah.
Yes.
I've come out and said as a Spurs fan, I don't know how many times, I enjoyed watching Arsenal last year, especially. Thought they were really good to watch. I enjoyed watching Arsenal. The Spurs fans are, oh, how can you watch them? But it's good to watch. They're playing some good football. This year, not as much. Yeah, first half against Liverpool, hated it because they are Arsenal, but thought, Jesus, well, he's done a number on him here. Really good football.
All right.
I just don't think they're quite good enough to win the league. And
Sav,
and if that makes me sour, if that makes me salty, that's fine. But at the end of the season, when they don't win it again,
Sav, forget some trolls, right? That's not what it is. I know what it is that irks Arsenal fans. I talked to lots of them. They're frustrated that the goalposts get moved and the double standards. So, for instance, what a big week! This is so important for Arsenal. Not only do they have to win, they've actually got to show they can dominate and beat one of the big teams. They do it, and then that's ignored, and it goes to celebrations or but what about the West Ham game now? And of course, you move on to that, but you don't bring up the West Ham game. It's different today. It's Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. The game's in a few days, but literally straight after the game, you meant to talk about the match and that game, that occasion, what that means. Later on in the week, you start previewing the next step. And you maybe if on Thursday they're still taking photos and celebrating, you say, slow down, you've got to focus on the game. But it's a talking out of both sides of the mouth when it comes to Arsenal. And I cover and have done for 6 years now, all of the top six. I see what everybody, when Liverpool started being brilliant under Klopp, they just got basic universal praise from everybody. When Chelsea had that resurgence under Tuchel, won the Champions League, got up near the top, it was almost universal praise. There was banter in there and bitterness, and that's fine. That's separate. That's normal fandom. But there was praise. Arsenal, the only team I've seen since doing this job where them improving, the goalposts are getting moved every 5 minutes. And there's very little we just talk about Arsenal in isolation.
I don't know what goalposts though, Terry. Like I don't really see it. Look, for me, at the end of the day, this is all very simple.
Let me give you an example of a goalpost. I'll give you an example of a goalpost. So you'll get this notion of Arsenal. Yeah, they're at top at the minute, but if they fall away next season, I don't even see them being back in that title race again. Now, this season, they're back in the title race based on where we are right now. And instead of people saying, do you know what? Arsenal have impressed me because I thought they were going to really fall off this year. Instead of stating that they were wrong about Arsenal and that they're much better this year than they thought they were, they say, look, last year they were top. This year they're a few points off. They've gone backwards and I knew they would.
Yeah, of course.
But that's one example. And these things happen. And I think that's frustrating to any of us. When our teams are, when people are, especially when people that have great influence, massive millions and millions of people watch them. When they chat shit, when they bullshit, when they lie, when they move the goalposts, when they speak out of both sides of their mouth, it is frustrating because we love our football clubs. And I think and forget fans on YouTube. I'm not even talking about YouTubers. I'm talking about the pros here.
Yeah.
We pay them for their punditry. I don't expect them to act like a fan cammer. I expect them to be honest and integral and give us genuine analysis, not the nonsense that we're spoon-fed. We pay for that shit. It should be better than that.
Listen, I completely agree with you. And this is the problem with knee-jerk football reactions. This is the problem. When everyone changes their mind every 1 to 2 to 3 games, this is the problem. This is why I've not changed my opinion from the beginning of the season as to how I think this league is going to finish. You both know that. I've never moved away from my top 3. So for me, I can sit here and say Arsenal are a very good football team. Yeah. Liverpool are a very good football team. I don't think either of them are better than Man City. So that's for me. The goalposts haven't moved for me. For Liverpool, for Liverpool or Arsenal to win this league, I think it's all going to be down to if City bottle it or not. And the likelihood is Man City don't tend to bottle it from these positions. They get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, if Man City don't win the league this year and Arsenal do, I'll sit here as a football fan and go, hats off. You've got over the line. Hats off to you.
Just stop me for a second. But will you, or will you say what you just said? That, hang on, because you just said, and this is why words are important.
Bottle.
You just said, but you just said Arsenal and Liverpool won't win the league. City will bottle it. Therefore,
no, that's not what I meant. No, that's not what I meant. No, we're changing it. Listen, what I'm saying is but that's not. But we're taking this too literally. What I'm saying is, if City don't win the league from here, yeah, that's on them. And Arsenal win it, that's on them, right? It doesn't always have to be that one team is crap, the other team's done. Listen, at the end of the day, if they win the league, Arsenal, I will say fair play to them.
But will you be surprised?
Oh, I'll be surprised if they win it. Yes, of course I will, because I'm sitting here saying I don't think they'll win it.
Will you be surprised if Liverpool win the league?
I'll be surprised if anyone other than Man City wins the league. Yes, I've said that all season. I'll be surprised. At the end of the day, for me, the key moment, I said this to you a month or two months ago, boys. The key moment was in those games where Man City won 1 game in 6 in the Premier League. Yeah. That was the moment.
So, yeah.
That those 2 teams, that's when the moment when I knew they weren't going to win it because they didn't go.
So Sam, I don't think the general Arsenal fan is upset with that opinion of yours. And I'm not pulling this on you. But what you did there when saying City bottling it, then maybe one of the other 2 will. In my opinion, that is how some professional pundits, some journalists, some people will spin it if Arsenal win the league. They won't do it to Liverpool, 100%. It'll be the genius of Klopp. If Arsenal do it, it will be, it's only because those other teams weren't as good this year, and it will be played down.
That's
And I'm not saying you did. I'm not saying you did. I didn't say you did. I literally said, I'm not talking about you. But I'm telling you now, as sure as eggs are eggs, and if they win the league, we can come back to this moment, someone bookmark it, there'll be multiple big accounts, influential people, pundits that will talk about other teams falling off is why Arsenal won it, as opposed to them being the best team in the league. And they've built that narrative up for 18 months. How do I not understand that narrative? I've been in this game too long. I understand what planting a seed early is all about for taking credit away from people. And I don't like it. When Liverpool won the league, people tried doing the COVID nonsense. They won the league. They deserved it. And I stood up for them. And there's a comment that came in here that always makes me, things like this always make me laugh. And he said, Terry needs to stop sucking Arsenal off. It's so embarrassing. Why do you need Arsenal to be praised? I don't. I need the punditry. And I need the way they're discussed to be fair and balanced. That is what I need. It isn't about, you've got to praise them. If you don't think they're very good, you don't think they're very good. That's fine. But you then can't see another team doing something similar and say they're amazing. That doesn't make sense to me, unless you're talking about the aesthetics of the football. But you're not. That is what I call out. Let's do some of these super chats here. You're right about that, Terry. People want banter, want to banter them. Of course they do. We know that. And look, banter's one thing. Sometimes it's funny. There's no doubt. Like we bantered Liverpool when they won the league because they didn't. I think it was because they were talking about doing an invincible treble, and we kind of bantered it a little bit. But when
Terry, do you believe that Arsenal are the most hated club in England?
No, Man United are the most hated club in England. There's no shadow of a doubt. But Arsenal definitely online, especially in the social media era, which I think is a very important part of football now. We know it is. It gets into the dressing rooms of players. We know
why do you think that is? Happening.
Why do I think it is? I believe it's because, look, some Arsenal fans are very loud, very noisy.
All right.
I think on top of that, I think Arsenal have been in the mud for so long. It didn't matter how bad the rest of our clubs did. Up until the last couple of years, think about all our clubs and our bad moments. Arsenal's was always worse. So Arsenal were always there as but I'm glad I'm not a gooner. And that, they were always the punching bag. Even as bad as Man United have been, we were still picking up Champions League positions and still winning some trophies. But Arsenal went through this period, and I think the AFTV movement and everything that came with that, I think it all played a fundamental part. Suddenly Arsenal became good. They started going up to near the top of the league, and I don't think people have been able to handle it. And everyone's got a different reason. Like Liverpool fans hate on them because last year, if Arsenal would have won the league, Arteta, a manager that I always said was a cone boy, and a team that was dead would have had as many Premier League titles as Klopp. So they have a reason to hate. Spurs have their own reasons, obviously. Chelsea have a London reason. Liverpool have a reason. Man United have a reason. Man United and Arsenal got the biggest Premier League rivalry ever. Plus, we're behind them. So there's a bitterness to them becoming better. So every club's got... The only team that isn't hating on Arsenal, that does a bit of banter, and that's about it, is City. That's because City don't care. Because lions don't care about sheep. They're the king. They're the only ones who don't really care. Everybody else has got a reason to hate Arsenal. And by the way, if Arsenal fall off next week and never come back, and Man United rise up, we'll get similar hate because lots of clubs have reasons to hate on us. And it's just the way it is. So that right now, I would say vocally they're the most hated. But I think overall it's Man United, definitely, because everyone hates us.
I think there's one reason. Arsenal fans hold their club to a higher standard than what they actually are. It's as simple as that.
What do you mean?
They think of themselves bigger than what they actually are because of the fan base. They put themselves on the table with Man United and Liverpool and other clubs around the world because they have a massive fan base, and they start talking about their club that way. But I don't think they are. That's the thing. looking from outside. I think Liverpool and Man United are different level than Liverpool. Then Liverpool comes with the Chelsea and now including Man City because they want to treble.
I get outside
this is my opinion, though.
I would say this. Someone like Ty would probably say that. I agree. Most Arsenal fans, if you were to ask them to be honest, they know they're not as big as Man United and Liverpool. They know in their heart of hearts they're not. They would say they're bigger than City. City, obviously, very recent history is they've done things that they haven't.
But
they
it
would
is history,
say that,
though.
No, but what I mean is, right now, City are a better club, but City's history still isn't bigger than Arsenal's. But they're catching it quickly. But they would say they're bigger than everybody else. What Arsenal really need, they definitely need a big European trophy. That they need that.
Thank you.
It's a bit,
you know that.
Of course, they need it. Yeah, I'm not going to say they don't, because to be the elite of the elite, you've got to have the biggest trophy in the world, like the biggest cup competition trophy in the world.
If Man City win the title this year, they will be on 10 league titles, 1 Champions League, a treble, a lot of cups, semi-finals of the Champions Leagues, final of the Champions Leagues. So there will be only 3 league titles different between them and Arsenal. Yes, they don't have the history. Yes, they don't have the history of Arsenal. Yes, Arsenal have 100 years of history in football. But you create your own history, and Man City are creating the history.
I agree with that.
Simple
I
as
agree with that. Let's go through some more of these super chats here. This says Arsenal are the most hated club in social media era because we have the biggest presence online. That's a fair point. I think you do in a lot of spaces. Biggest club specific channel is, well, that's not the biggest club specific channel is United Stand. United Stand has got more followers, but I hear you, bro. Well, if Arsenal or Liverpool win the league because City bottle it, that means City only won it last year because Arsenal bottled it.
No, I think Arsenal bottled it last year, but at this time, I think Liverpool. Why people keep forgetting that if Liverpool win their game against Manchester City at home, which is they're more likely than not will win that game because they are favorites at home, they are ahead of Man City in this race. So why do people forget that? Because Man City are Man City and they came from a treble.
I think there's a lot of games between now and then, Mo, isn't it? To just reel that off. If they win every game, right?
Yeah, most likely than not, both teams on paper should win all the games and
should do.
If one of them drop points, I'll be surprised. This is what people don't like. I don't have a crystal ball, as Jacob says, to read the future, but I look at the signs and try to see what's logical in the future. People just don't realize that.
I hear you. Only City can clean. Sorry. City only one clean sheet in 12 Premier League games, but they're winning matches. But it's a fair point. As an Arsenal fan, I just wanted the team to prove to me last year wasn't a one-off, and this team will compete for the next decade after not for the last 15. This year, they have proven that. I wouldn't go as far as the next decade because a lot changes in 10 years, but I think unless something goes drastically wrong, I think for the next 2 to 3 years, Arsenal are going to be one of the top teams in the Premier League and therefore one of the top teams in Europe. Mo, who will win if we play? That's from an Arsenal fan. If we play against Inter Milan in the Champions League,
we will be favorites without a shadow of a doubt. We have better players, we have better coach, we have better team, we have better everything at the current moment.
I really want a Premier League team against your club. Like, we're great for the match reaction.
We wouldn't be favorites only against Manchester City. That's it.
Yeah,
only.
More agenda. Just can't get over the Arsenal fans saying they are better than Inter. Both Sava and Mo are clueless in predicting Arsenal games.
We are, yeah, because we predicted Liverpool. Yeah. This is, hear me out, and I'm gonna say this. Hear me out about this enigma. Listen, bro. 90% of Arsenal fans said that they will win against Liverpool out of hope. And I asked one this morning, and he said it was only a gut feeling. But you look at the signs before the game. You look at where both teams have played, how both teams played. Everything pointed towards a draw, and I predicted a draw. You winning that game, it surprised you as much as me.
Ooh,
Terry was right. Terry was right. Terry was right.
But I wasn't. But I actually said it on my review. I wasn't right. I predicted a very close game with a narrow victory for Arsenal. I was wrong. Arsenal dominated, and it wasn't an easy victory.
But they stomped on them, bro. They stomped on them.
I don't look at predictions. I don't necessarily look at the scoreline as being right or wrong. I look at how you think the game's going to go as being right. Like, you can predict a draw and say it's a very narrow game, and then one team scores a fortuitous last-minute winner. You're more right than someone that predicted a 3-0 win for the team that goes on to win it, because your overarching thoughts of the game were closer. So yeah,
I was
wasn't
completely
right
wrong,
entirely.
bro.
I
Like,
just got Arsenal
I
nick it,
was
but there we go.
completely wrong. I
I think
didn't see
Arsenal
this
can
performance.
this is I think Arsenal can tie at the Etihad. Listen, they've shown a lot of mental strength in the last few games. I'm really intrigued to see whether my theory comes to fruition. The last 3 games have looked better, they look quicker. But going to the Etihad and winning, I mean, listen, it'll be massive. But they've got to keep winning until that game. Because if you're 10 points off by the time you get there and you win there, that will probably sting a little bit. Ask Mo if Arsenal are better than the Serie A leaders.
No, you aren't. Why? Okay. See that's the thing. When Arsenal were top of the league, they said, we want Arsenal in the Champions League. And I said, I only want Arsenal because I believe there are 5 better teams in the round of 16 than Arsenal. And this is why I want Arsenal. But they took it as, yes, listen, you want us, you'll get us. Well, guys, I have to burst your bubble. You are a good team. And I don't want to face you in the Champions League if I have other options, but not Man City, Bayern, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and Barcelona.
The Mkhitaryan starts for Inter. Give me a break, is what Charles says.
Bro, you have Kai Havertz, for fuck's sake. You have Kai Havertz, bro.
I love it.
Oh my God.
I'd love to see that game, by the way. I'd love to see Arsenal versus Inter. Inter are a very, very good football team that do not concede.
You know when you ask why Arsenal
really
fans
they're
hating, you guys ask why Arsenal fans, you guys, like, we talk about, like, we banter you, it's because of this. You don't see me coming here say I'm bigger than Real Madrid, I'll beat Real Madrid. You don't see me sitting here saying my club is better than Manchester City. But you guys do that. That's your problem. That's the problem, that you do this and then you ask, why do you hate on us? We're not. We're just responding to you. Just give me a break.
I think what's going to be interesting for Arsenal is that it looks like Urian Timber's close to a return. I think that's going to be, it depends how he is, like fitness-wise, but that could be really, really big for them because he looked really good start of the season. It's just a shame they haven't got Thomas Partey this year. But now, Inter versus Arsenal, I want that to come out now. Fels here says, most clubs with Champions Leagues would kill to have Arsenal's global presence. No offense, brah, but you have Mkhitaryan, better squad. We sold him because he was crap.
So here is my response to that. Do you remember when
guys? I've really got to jump. I've really got to jump. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Take care, guys. I'll let Mo fight the good fight. See ya.
Bye, mate. Cheers, mate. Bye. Oh, hang on. There we go. Just you and me.
Oh my God, people are so.
I didn't even get the chance to cook Sava about
my God
being wrong last week. Havertz starts for Inter. Ooh.
Bro, Havertz doesn't start even, bro. Havertz doesn't start for Napoli, for Lazio. See, when we talk about Arsenal fans, it's exactly these guys. This particular thing. What you guys were saying Havertz is shit 2 weeks ago because he played one good game. You guys are rattled for no reason. Because you yourself, Arsenal fans in the chat, you yourself said that Havertz might be the reason we lose the league. But because he played good in one game, you're saying he's this and that. Oh my God, you guys are so reactionary. It's unbelievable, people. It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous, people. It's ridiculous. You guys have said Martinelli is shit and Trossard should start. You guys have said that we need Thomas Partey. You guys said Zinchenko shit and we defended Zinchenko. And now you're coming and saying this and that. Give me a break, people.
AMT says, road to 2006 Champions League final. Was Arsenal better than Madrid and Juve? Yes.
Thierry Henry was majestic.
Yeah,
do you remember the game against Real Madrid when he literally played Real Madrid by himself?
That season they definitely were. Before we finish the Super Chats, people, I want to shout out our title sponsors again, as we did earlier. Match Bingo. This game is such a good gaming app. It really is. You buy a bingo card, and every free kick, every goal, every save, every throw in could essentially win you a line, 2 lines, or get you a full house in the game of bingo and win money. One of our very own viewers won £1,000 last week on one of the games. There's some big jackpots available over the weekend as well. You do have to be over the age of 18 to play, but it's a lot of fun because you don't have to think about what you're going to, or what do I think is going to happen in the match. You just get the card and it comes out randomly. And if it happens in the game, you win. It's great to sit there watching some football matches with your match bingo card. I do it for every weekend. I give it a go. So go and check it out now. Scan the QR code literally just below me there, or click on the link in our description below. Arsenal are huge without winning anything major. They have won something major.
They're proving everything I just told you, and you told me I'm wrong. Go ahead.
Yeah. West Ham are bigger than Inter, is what Juan just says here.
Absolutely.
I don't expect Arsenal to win the league, but I do expect them to come second over Liverpool. That's a fair shout.
Fair if you do that.
Jamie here says, can we now stop overhyping Alisson as one of the greatest goalkeepers we've ever seen? Clown mistakes in huge games versus Arsenal last year versus Madrid. He's one of the greatest in the world right now. There's no doubt about it. Greatest ever. It's very hard to compare the eras of goalkeepers because the Peter Schmeichels and the Petr Cechs weren't being told to play with their feet in the same way. There may have been more mistakes from them if they did in that regard, but I wouldn't say he's been overhyped, but he definitely made a mistake. Sag here says, don't worry, Mo. Gal said Odegaard is better than Modric and only 2 Madrid players get into the Arsenal 11. Kroos alone is better than the Arsenal team. Thank you, bro. Mo will smash you. Don't start to cry now. I have watched into games. You're nothing, bro. Brighton will beat you 100%. Mkhitaryan is in your squad, is what Starboy Saka has got to say here.
We'll see. You guys want to like get Inter? No, it's up to you. Just get past Porto first. I don't think actually we're favorites against Atletico Madrid, though, to be honest. We're playing second. Atletico Madrid.
How many players do Inter have that have scored a winner in a Champions League final?
You are bragging with someone else's girl, bro. He scored that for a different club. He didn't win you the Champions League, bro. You're bragging. Oh, my neighbor's girl. Who said that? I heard it the other day. I think Sam or something said that. It's like my neighbor's girl or something like this. Oh, come on.
Bro, who from Inter gets into the Arsenal first team?
Marcus Thuram. I think Lautaro Martinez at the moment. I think Bastoni gets in the Inter squad. I think Pavard probably getting the right back over Ben White. I believe actually, without a shadow of a doubt, Hakan Çalhanoğlu is a better DM than Declan Rice. And maybe Barella, but then Odegaard. So that's what I mean.
Inter were behind Sociedad in their group.
We literally prioritized the league and we didn't lose and they didn't score a goal in both games. So just stop.
Oh, Arsenal was better than Madrid and Juve, but they had no heritage. I remember that season well. Nobody gave us a chance.
Yes.
Thank you, AMT.
Yes.
But I thought Enzo was the next Kroos, proper Chelsea. Listen, he could be with the right management. He could be. We were actually meant to talk about a few more things today, but we've run out of time, so we're going to have to talk about that stuff tomorrow. But that's the nature of these podcasts. We're dictated a lot of the time by the viewers and what it is that you have all got to say and do. I want to thank everyone that's tuned in. Thank you to my super chatters. Thank you to everyone who's hit the like button. Mo and Sava, always a pleasure to speak with you. But go check out Match Bingo. If you're over the age of 18 and you live in the UK, that's where it's available. Get signed up now. Give it a little play over the next few days. See how you feel. And by the way, if you sign up now, you'll get 10 free Match Bingo cards every month for the rest of the season. But you've got to take advantage of that exclusive Football Terrace offer right now. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all.